And I-24 News defense correspondent Jonathan Regev investigates the evolving relationship between the IDF and Israel's Arab community and the efforts to bring in more Arab citizen cadets to the ranks of the military.
An IDF officer warmly greeted by the head of an Arab local council. Up until 1 year ago, not a common sight, but things are now changing.
We are clearly seeing the change in relations within the Arab community towards those in uniform. The residents see that we are working with them and for them, and we are now welcomed with open arms.
Relations between the IDF and Israel's Arab minority have always been a sensitive issue. It could perhaps make sense, considering this is an army fighting mostly Arab armies and terror organizations. For many in the Israeli Arab community, the IDF was mostly seen as a conquering force.
It is no secret that those wearing uniforms were viewed quite suspiciously. The people in the Arab villages did not always understand why someone with a uniform came to their village, and it was not always positively viewed.
So what brought the change? Coronavirus. Yes, the army is still present along the borders, but it is now also strongly present throughout the Home Front Command, all over the country, assisting with local communities.
We used to look at the army from a distance, and now we see it up front as a body that provides assistance, providing food to those sick and in need.
In northern Israel, where many Jewish and Arab communities exist physically close to each other, but in many instances live far apart, this brought a dramatic change. At the end of the day, everyone faces the same challenges, which many times are answered by the Home Front Command.
This is the testing center where people are tested for coronavirus. This area has many Jewish and Arab residents, and all the different sectors end up here getting tested.
And maybe there is a lesson for all of us here not to judge anything or anyone before we really get to know them.
Anything that you are far from, you don't really know it. Once it becomes close and accessible, you learn other things, and that is what happened to us here in the Arab sector and in my community with regards to the army.
In nearly 73 years of independence, there have been numerous plans to reduce the suspicion between the army and the Israeli Arab community. None, it seems, have been as successful as the coronavirus pandemic.
We have more stories to zoom in on next.